under fire. We are joined by one of our favorite guests right now, top Middle East expert, Senior Vice President for Research at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies in Washington, D.C. Our good friend Jonathan Schanzer is with us. Jonathan, what a day. And you've been talking about this for a while, that Iran and Israel were on a collision course courtesy of the Iranian regime's repeated provocations against the Jewish state. Did Iran cross the ultimate red line today, Jonathan, with this attack?
They did. And look, we knew it was coming. We knew it almost from day one after Hamas started attacking Israel on October 7th, after Hezbollah started attacking Israel on October 8th, after the Shiite militias in Iraq and Syria attacked Israel, after the Houthis attacked Israel. We knew that Iran was behind all of it and that eventually we were going to come to this moment. Then you have the Iranian regime using the death of Ismail Haniyeh and Hassan Nasrallah, the leaders of Hamas and Hezbollah. Their deaths are used as a pretext for Iran to launch these 181 ballistic missiles at Israel. Once that happened, I think the Israelis just dropped the gloves. I think they now understand that restraint will get them nowhere. We've heard the Biden White House calling on Israel to hold back for the last 11 and a half, almost 12 months. That has only gotten Israel more aggression from Iran and its proxies. I think the Israelis finally understand that they've got to do all of this themselves. That's why they have gone on the offensive. That's why they've eviscerated Hezbollah. That's why I think we're going to see them go on the offensive now, probably target Iran's nuclear sites. I'm guessing, fighting Iran would not be worth it for Israel if they didn't take out these nuclear sites, or at least try to take them out. The big question for me is whether the Biden administration understands that and they help Israel make sure that the job is done right.
Yeah, John, with Hezbollah on the ropes, with Hamas smashed in Gaza, does Israel have a unique window here, do you believe, to take action like you just laid out, taking out Iran's nuclear facilities perhaps? Is this a unique window of opportunity for Israel that it has to capitalize on?
I think it's the only window we've seen. I mean, there was no other circumstance where this could have taken place up until now. But now that Iran has crossed this red line, now that Iran has fired, and look, you could say they were trying to target military sites or intelligence sites. That's not what happened here. I mean, these rockets were hurtling across Israel in civilian areas and military areas. It didn't matter. And they were just blanketing Israel. I think that this administration understands that Israel has no choice but to respond. Its people are demanding nothing less. But I think there's also something interesting going on here, too. The rest of the Middle East is watching, right? The Saudis are watching. The Emiratis are watching. Even some of Israel's adversaries, the ones that have not been making peace or not flirting with peace, they're looking at this and they're wondering whether the U.S.-led alliance is worth it if the U.S. does not bring Iran to heel. And so as the Israelis gear up for their response, I'm sure there's conversations happening between Israel's Ministry of Defense and the Pentagon, between Netanyahu's office and the White House. I'm sure there's a lot of conversation. I think the Israelis are not going to accept anyone telling them to push for restraint or to sue for peace. That's not what happens after your country gets attacked with 181 ballistic missiles, some of which actually got through.
Yeah, it's an existential threat. No other way to say it. And John, do you think Iran and its proxies have actually been exposed to a degree over the past few weeks? Look, Hezbollah had been built up as this 800-pound gorilla for decades. Don't hit Hezbollah. Who knows what they'll do in response? And now in the span of 2 weeks, Hezbollah has been severely weakened and embarrassed. And by extension, their masters in Tehran have been embarrassed as well. Do you think Iran and that ring of fire have been exposed over the past few weeks as Israel has gone on the offensive?
Look, this is a stunning reversal of momentum. I cannot overstate this. What the Israelis have done to Hezbollah, this is supposed to be Iran's most formidable proxy. This is supposed to be an army that is equal in strength to a mid-sized European country. And the Israelis eviscerated that top leadership in short order. They've taken out something like 75% of the names that we know, the names that I've tracked over the course of 30 years. They're all gone. They've taken out 30 to maybe even 50% of the long-range capabilities that Hezbollah has been stockpiling. pinpoint intelligence. Obviously, they destroyed their communications with the beeper and walkie-talkie operations. It is just hard to see Hezbollah getting up off their backs, especially as Israel is now hammering them on the ground from the air. And that's on top of Hamas. Really, I mean, they look like a spent force to me right now in Gaza. I think the hard fighting there is probably close to being over. The Houthis just got their lumps the other day. The Israelis targeted them in the heart of Yemen. Some of these groups that have been targeting American and Israeli forces, they got hit in Iraq, in Syria.
Yeah. Folks, we're having a bit of problem with Jonathan Schanzer's connection, but when we did have him, those were some great insights. And Jonathan made the point, the momentum that Israel has right now, it's nice to see evil on the run for once, isn't it? And that's exactly what we've seen over the past few weeks. We've seen, again, Jonathan laid it out, the stunning reversal of fortune, or I should say misfortune, for Hezbollah, for Hamas. Really, folks, if you look back, and again, it's hard to believe, we're about a year removed from the October 7th massacre. Could we say that on October 7th, Hamas signed its own death warrant? And one day later, October 8th, Hezbollah did the same when it began unilaterally launching rockets and missiles at Israel. I think we've got Jonathan Schanzer back, Senior Vice President for Research at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies in Washington, D.C. John, you've laid out the stunning gains by Israel, the setbacks for Iran's Ring of Fire over the past few weeks alone. Okay, as the dust settles, could we see a new Middle East come out of this?
We could, but I think we need to be careful here. We need to make sure that, Israel doesn't get ahead of itself here. There's a lot of hard fighting that needs to, I think, happen here. It's not like Iran's going to just lay down its weapons. It's not like Hezbollah is just going to agree to withdraw to north of the Litani River. We need to see Israel press on, force a submission by its enemies. And after that, that's when I think the Arab states, the Saudis, maybe even countries like Kuwait, right? You could imagine these countries looking on and saying, okay, Israel, you are still the strongest military in the region. You have this strong alliance with the United States, assuming the U.S. helps. That's the moment that I think you can forge peace. But that could be weeks, maybe even months away. There's a lot of fighting that needs to happen before then.
Yeah, and folks, by the way, you can follow Jonathan Schanzer on X, across social media, and at fdd.org. He's doing incredible work, as you're hearing right now. John, the costs of missing this opportunity for Israel and the free world. If Israel does not press his advantage right now, what's the cost of that? It seems that would send the exact wrong message, and you're just kicking the can down the road and delaying the inevitable confrontation down the road with Iran and its proxies.
Look, this is a moment to put Iran back in its place. This is a moment to put the regime in a place where it cannot get up, where it can be humiliated, where its proxy networks can be destroyed, where the regime can be undermined. That's, I think, step one. But then there's also this question of reinforcing the notion of an American-led Middle East, right? This is our moment to exert our strength and to show the rest of the countries in the region that China and Russia are not their partners. We're the ones that can bring order to the region. And by the way, once we do that in the Middle East, there's a lesson that can be conveyed to both Russia and China and their partners abroad that we are going to come for them next, and that they could meet the same fate of as the Iranian regime. This is an unbelievably important moment right now for the Middle East, for the United States, and for this global contest that the United States has been waging against an axis of aggressors.
Well said. I've called it the Gathering Storm Coalition, John. Iran, North Korea, Russia, and China. Good to see them on their heels right now. Jonathan Schanzer, great insights as always. Keep up the great work, my friend. We will see you again very soon back here on Stackleback Tonight. And folks, if you are just joining